Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another month of CITCA Wellness Live discussion. This month, we want to shed light on men prioritizing their mental wellness. We understand and we hear just all the cries from the different men on how they aren't understood, how they are viewed as a target or an enemy. And what we want to do is share resources and positive feedback for fathers and brothers and sons to share with their fathers and brothers and sons because the community needs us. We need one another. And that is the motive for this wellness discussion tonight. So, we are getting ready to dive in. I am Jacqueline Stevenson, the Executive Director of Counselors in the Community Association, and I am joined by some amazing panel guests, co-hosts actually. I'm going to allow everyone to introduce themselves, and Amanda, you can go ahead and take it away.
Good evening. My name is Amanda McIntyre. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and I own and operate the Sanctuary Care and Counseling Center. And I'm excited to be here tonight, excited to learn more about wellness and promoting wellness for men. Bianca?
Hi, my name is Bianca Rudge. I'm a licensed clinical social worker in the state of Florida, and I run a private practice called the Listening Room, which creates a safe space for men of color to come and discuss some parenting concerns and issues that they may have as far as parenting their children.
Jerry?
Hi, my name is Jerry St. Louis. I'm a licensed independent clinical social worker, and I also am the CEO and founder of Colors Healing, which is a therapeutic service. I provide individual and group therapy to LGBT people and people of color.
And you're in DC, right, Jerry?
I am in Washington, D.C.
Got it. And Tank?
Good evening, everyone. Hopefully, everybody can hear me very well. Yay. My name is Tank Unapologetic, also known as JJ McClain, but Tank Unapologetic on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Snapchat. I am an HIV activist located here in Houston, Texas. I've arrived from Memphis, Tennessee, home of the blues, the barbecue, and the ghetto, as I say. And I'm an advocate here in our city. I've had HIV for 15 years, and that is something that I have chose my passion to do into our community. And yeah, I love what I do, and I do free HIV testing anywhere that you are near to me. Check out my shirt. You got a minute?
And last but not least, Robert.
Hello, my name is Robert Doolin, and most of my friends call me Brother Rock because I'm a friend of the brothers and a voice for the men. I say I'm a men's advocate.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. We just want to really kind of highlight and bring a focus to just not mental health, but wellness in general for men. I want everybody to give me a little bit about kind of what's your why and what you do, but also kind of what's your why specifically in being here tonight. Anybody can go ahead and start. All right, Bianca.
I can go.
Go ahead.
I go? Me?
Mm-hmm. Yep, go ahead, man. Yeah.
Okay, so my why is that I really want to disrupt and interrupt the issue of Black father absenteeism in our Black communities. The numbers are extremely prevalent and very overwhelming. I want to create a safe haven where men can come with their concerns and some of the issues that they're having when it comes to parenting and fatherhood, and some of the reasons why they may walk away from children and families, and really create a safe space where men have a chance to discuss those things in a safe environment, safe and confidential environment. I plan to really create hopefully some programmatic services also for Black incarcerated fathers as well. So that's my why, is I really want to address the issue of fatherhood in Black communities and bring us back to who we truly are, which is to parent our children.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Robert, tell us a little bit about your why tonight.
Well, my why is because a lot of men are very. Some don't want the conflict. Some prefer the conflict, but they kind of real quiet. They tend to keep their own personal feelings to themselves, and sometimes you need a voice to speak up for them. Sometimes they don't want to do it for themselves. So there are men and women on the panel today that's actually speaking up for men. And I'm going to say on the behalf of all these men, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's an honor. Jerry, tell us about your why.
My why I created Of Colors Healing was because I wanted to make therapy accessible to LGBT people and people of color. And I also wanted to make sure that Black people saw a Black therapist and could, automatically know that I have some kinship with this person. The reason I'm here this evening is because I feel like there's still not enough conversations about Black people, specifically Black LGBT men who use crystal meth. And that's one of my topics that I talk about a lot. And I just want to kind of continue to spread the word. And honestly, just to support Black men who honestly don't talk to anybody else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And what do you have for us, Tank?
Well, I would like to I would piggyback off of Jerry. Thank you for what you do in our community of people. Of course, me being first being a Black man, second being a gay Black man. My why is why I'm here. Is that I am a strong believer, and I like to applaud. I said yes, I would like to applaud all of the women that we have before us here on the panel. That you all be strong enough and independent and beautiful enough and bold enough to be able to have those conversations that are not easy, but yet you are having them. So for one, I give you that. So that is one reason of my why, because it would be no me without the you. And I, with me having HIV for so many years, I caught HIV at a very, very young age. And so I look for my passion in life. And so now I take it upon myself to not be ashamed of what I've been through in a sense, but let it be a testimony to our Black individual youth, to understand, let them know that we do have care, and we can provide things that you can live a long time with HIV, because as we all know, HIV runs at a very, very high rate in the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like to, it is in part, so does drugs and different things as well, but it has some different things that, comes with it. But that is one of my whys of why I'm here, to help and to sit on the platform with some awesome people, so we can have those tough conversations and get the information out there that is needed.
Thank you. All right. I think we covered everybody, right?
Yep, we got everybody.
Awesome. All right. So as we go into our discussion, we're going to share a clip, because again, what's affecting one is affecting many. So we're going to show this clip, which is a basketball player by the name of Michael Beasley, who is going through some different emotions surrounding men's wellness. All right.
Being Black is so fake right now. It's like motherfuckers only care when it's time for somebody to die and the cameras to show. It's like, bro, motherfuckers is out here showing every day that they need help.
The only people in your life who haven't stolen from you are your kids. Now that you are an adult, now that at least right now you're out of basketball, are you searching out other people to build adult relationships with? Or are you or is everything that's happened in your life is so difficult?
Be real with you, I don't leave the house. I play basketball and I go home. I don't care what y'all do no more. Like, all I care about is playing basketball all day. I go home and I try to talk to my kids as much as I can. I don't see them as much as I can, because I'm not traveling as much no more. I don't know what to expect when I leave this house no more. You know what I'm saying? I don't talk to nobody. You know what I'm saying? I've reached out and I've reached out and I've reached out and I've reached out and I've reached out so more that I gotta die with some kind of some kind of dignity. That's not sustainable. Like, you too young, bro. That's not sustainable, bro. You can still play ball. So that's not sustainable. So I can come up here, I can tell you somebody else's life, and I'm willing to do it. Hold on, I'm gonna turn my head backward. I'm gonna put a smile on for you, and I'm like, bro, you don't gotta put nothing on for me. Like, or I can just sit back and I'm gonna tell you what it is. Like, I'm not. I know that's not sustainable, but at the same time, like, what?
Please, none of us can do it. None of us can do it alone, bro.
Reach out. Go out. You have to change the narrative. Go out where? Go out, talk to people, interact with people. Like, bro, real talk. I'll call us out. Us three. Bro, you be in Miami? If y'all party, I don't party, bro. No. We don't party, bro. I'm talking about you have kids, I have kids. Come to my house. We can get bounce houses for the kids. We can sit back on the porch, drink a couple beers, drink some wine, hang out. Like, bro, that's not a normal, successful man's life to sit up in the house like that. Like, you got to find good people, and us three can be good people. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, it's not, that's not no disrespect to what y'all got going on. I've been trying to find good people for so long. I'm tired, bro.
I would say this. It's a 100%, bro.
Like,
it's so okay to be tired.
Like, I got. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got nothing left. You ain't got nothing left to give.
I'll tell you this, bro. I'll be it. Like, whatever you need, dog. Like, you just want to talk. Like, I for sure can't hoop with you. I'll go out there and pass that hoe. Like, what we're saying is, bro, like, we want to be those people. Bringing you here wasn't about this. I wanted to talk basketball and hoops. But, dog, folks love you, dog. Nobody want to see you go through this.
I got me a Disney jersey out the motherfucking house because I was down here when you got drafted.
I think the thing is, man, like, so many times as black men, we are asked because of talent to carry everybody. We are not made to carry everybody. Black women are asked to carry everybody. They are not made to carry everybody. Dog, it takes a fucking village, bro. And at some point, you gotta have somebody who don't need shit from you, who don't want shit from you, who want to see you win, man. Like, we don't do this for us. Yeah, like you want to build these things, but it's about these conversations. It's about bringing people on here and letting them tell their story. When Freddie said, man, you could tell your narrative, tell that shit, and I'll preach it too. What we saying is, man, don't give up, and we won't give up.
I can't say I know exactly what you're going through, but I've seen a lot of, I've heard a lot of stories, and I've seen a lot of guys that have come from our demographic and our background. They really, you know, they fight and they bust their ass.
Everybody just sit there and laugh. Like Antoine Walker will go through whatever he go through. Motherfuckers sit there and make jokes. Allen Iverson was a joke for a while until everybody found out that wasn't true. He turned fan. It's like, bro, no, bro. Being black is so fake right now. It's like motherfuckers only care when it's time for somebody to die and the cameras to show. It's like, bro, motherfuckers is out here showing every day that they need help. It's in the music, and we only listen to it to these die. It's like, bro, everybody out here needs help, and everybody walking around this motherfucker like they got it all together.
Amazing.
Being black is
super amazing. So, as they say, it's about having these conversations. It's about opening up those discussions and showing people that you're not alone. You're not meant to carry everything or, act like or live like and believe that you don't have support. So this first discussion is going to be surrounding masculinity and emotionality.
I want you all to kind of think about the video. And as we were preparing for this live, we kind of talked to different people and kind of talked about some of the things that may prevent some of the barriers or some of the stigmas that might come up in regards to preventing men from being well or preventing men from taking the steps necessary to be well. And three main things kept coming up. Kind of this idea of media, right? The role that the media plays, mistrust, and then the idea of shame and vulnerability. I wish I could talk to you all night, but honestly, I'm looking at this clock and we got 45 minutes. So I want you all to take a minute to kind of think about your own stories, your experiences, how you move in the world, both personally and professionally. Think about the video, and then think about mistrust, media, shame and vulnerability. And I want you to take a minute and kind of speak to it from your perspective and how you think those particular things create a barrier for men in wellness. I think I want to let's start with Robert. What are your thoughts?
Well, my understanding is, one, that man had a lot of money, and even the money couldn't change the situation he was in as far as his emotions was concerned. A lot of men, you have to excuse me for the background noise. Right now I'm on a light rail, make my way back in town. But I understand where he was coming from, even without having the money that he had. Men tend to fall more to shame. I find that men are a lot more guilt-ridden, meaning they haven't forgiven themselves. That's one of the things I find that a lot of men could, they know they've done some things wrong, and they may not have handled some things right, but they really want to fix it. We do. There's a lot of men out there want to fix things. We want to make things better, but we walk in shame. We're afraid to be vulnerable, and in that vulnerability is going to be used as a weapon, and that's our concern. Whereas things we have shared with people, and people have used it against us, whether it be a mate, a family member, whatever. But it's kind of hard. And once you do that, most of the time you get men to clam up. So to increase our dopamine, or that feeling of making everything right, some of us turn to, drugs, alcohol, or women, or overworking, right? Mm-hmm. So these are the things that we deal with, and we rather just stuck here because that's what society says most men do anyway, right? So we just, some of us fall victim to the opinions of others. But it can be very hard, man. And to watch this man with that much money crumble like that, no matter how gifted he is, no matter how talented he is, he just really believes that people really don't care, especially when it comes to the African American community and black men. They don't.
I love how you talked about. Yeah, I love how you talked about kind of vulnerability, like your story kind of being what you share being used as a weapon. I appreciate that. Thank you. Jerry, what you got?
I'd actually like to speak to this from the vantage point of Black LGBT men. I think a lot of times if we show any emotion, it's you're a sissy, you're not supposed to do that. That's not how men act. And so we tend to butch it up. And what I've also seen in therapy now is that Black gay men are about 20 to 30, and they're having to unlearn those things to figure out who they actually are. So you have to kind of put a mask on in front of people who are not necessarily other Black men, so that you're considered respected, so you're considered to be the epitome of a man. You're not necessarily supposed to show emotion. You're always supposed to be the tough guy. And I don't think that that's fair or an all right thing to do, or all right thing to say. And I did want to piggyback on the video as well. I loved that he showed emotion. And I loved how the other brothers rallied around him, because that's not something that you see a lot. And what he said is something I hear a lot, but you don't hear it on a platform where it's broadcasted. I hear that from my clients in therapy, but they don't have
specifically what part though. When you say you hear that a lot, can you take a piece of it?
Where he said that they don't care about Black people until something big happens. Like being Black is like ornamental in a sense. And that is very well true. Like a lot of people who aren't Black will say, oh, we definitely have to support Black businesses because we have to help them. And I'm not saying that, the intentions from that are good or bad, but are you doing it with a good heart, or are you doing it just to say that you're doing it so that other people can kind of see it?
Okay. All right. Bianca.
Yeah. I'm to answer your question about how this applies, what my take was on it as far as my professionalism and my personal life. I've been through experiences as a heterosexual woman where, maybe the father of my children or someone I was in a relationship with just simply had difficult time expressing himself, and it was as a result of a breakup or even him walking away from his children. I've seen it in my own father and my own, family, where, men who suffer from mental health or incarceration or different, barriers in their life, are impacted. They're impacted. They walk away from their families, or, they just don't know how to ask for help. They don't know how to ask for help. So just, you know, in this video alone, to see somebody who's saying that he doesn't feel supported and saying that he feels isolated is enough, because most men have a difficult time even sharing that. You know, there's a huge responsibility on the Black man's back, and that is to be strong, shut up, and take it like a man. You know, since we're on the topic of stigmas, take it like a man. We don't cry. You know, you a punk for crying. You're this, you're that. It's almost like you're walking around like a robot. And the Black men, and I'm not saying this because I'm a Black woman, but the Black man, I think, really has a lot more barriers than, you know, most, you know, than our counterparts. You know, you're dealing with different kinds of you know, racial experiences, police brutality, you're dealing with incarceration, you're dealing with, you know, parental absenteeism. Most Black men, you know, like I said, are, you know, raised in, you know, one parent homes where their moms took care of them. So professionally, what I speak to that is that, you know, many men have a difficult time just simply asking for help, just to say, I need help, I need help, I need to talk to someone. And it's really interesting in my practice as a social worker, because I am the clinical manager over a jail of incarcerated men. It's really interesting how many of them come in there in my office privately, and that moment of vulnerability where they're able to really open up and say, you know what, I really do miss my kids, or I really wish the mother to my children would talk to me and not be so upset, you know, that I am in jail, or, you know, not, you know, I really wish that I had a way to talk to someone instead of, you know, bottling up all my feelings. It's really interesting what goes on in these counseling sessions, which tells me that the need is there. So the video to me is very empowering, because you see a man showing a side of vulnerability, that I need the help, even though he may not be directly asking for it. In many ways he is, because he's speaking out to the fact that he feels isolated. So that's powerful.
All right. Thank you, Bianca. What about you, Tank?
I would say this. I would say, from listening to the video and listening to all of you, I would bring out two major things. I think, just not for not being gay or straight, but just being a Black man. Period. I think we're dealing with two things. I think it's generational curses, and I also think it's being products of their environment. You want to go back and look at research and studies always show it's like a repetitive, it's like a mouse being on a wheel, and it continues to do this. And the thing is, in life, we've as Black people, as Black men, period, we have, our minds have been conditioned to go a certain route, to do this. And when the thing is, they need to have an emotional side, and be in touch with who they are as a person. I think it's always good for every Black man to go and get some type of therapy or counseling, because especially when you live through a generation of, you didn't have a father, or you was missing one of your parents, or because that affects the way that you live life. Like I heard my brother right here say about, you know, he had all that money and it still didn't make him happy. And it just speaks to many mountains of to say, it said, listen, if he had all this money still to make him happy, you can go back and understand he had probably the past generation before that had some of the same issues, what went on with his childhood, and those things. As being adults, if we don't fix those things, or we don't actually go and get therapy or counseling for those things that bothered us as a child, as Black men, we grow up being the same father that we had. We grow up being the same person that did us wrong. We become that over and over again. So it's in the best interest that we don't look at anything else but to say, okay, look, how am I going to break this cycle? Because this ain't the first time it just came out of anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Be a good thing.
Breaking the cycle. That's powerful. So when we talk about, you all had so many great points. So when we talk about masculinity and emotionality, kind of what I heard was the idea of being vulnerable. You're afraid of your story kind of being held against you or kind of used as a weapon. This idea of kind of what a man should be in labels. I think Jerry said something about sissies, and I think Bianca said, you know, being a punk. And then JJ kind of closed us out to kind of really encourage us to look at the people that came before us and looking at the stories and being intentional about kind of like breaking, like, you know, he's called it generational curses, right? But also another way of looking at it is like generational practices, because a lot of times people don't even realize it's a curse, right? It's almost like, let me look at what the people did before me and make a decision of, yeah, that ain't what I want to do. Amazing points. So we're gonna slide into our next segment, And we're going to talk about poverty. And we want to kind of talk about the role, and some of you already kind of spoke to it, the role that poverty plays in men getting well. How does poverty impact or threaten wellness?
And we have another powerful slide, that video that I want to show, because it relates so much to a young man who's now older man, very successful, who come from, poverty and poverty upbringings. Share with us some
album
great information.
Sounds to me like a therapy session. It's in a sense. Have you been in therapy?
Yeah.
First off, how does Jay-Z find a therapist? Not in the phone book, right?
No, great friends of mine, friends of mine who've been through a lot and, come out on the other side as like whole individuals.
What was that like being in therapy? What did you talk about that you had never acknowledged to yourself or talked?
I grew so much from the experience. But I think the most important thing I got is that everything is connected. Mm-hmm. Every emotion is connected and it comes from somewhere. And just being aware of it in everyday life puts you at such an advantage. You realize that, if someone's racist toward you, it's not even about you. It ain't about you. It's about their upbringing and what happened to them and how they led them to this point. Most bullies bully. It's happened. Oh, you got bullied as kids, so you're trying to bully me. I understand.
Right.
And once I understand that, instead of reacting to that with anger, I can provide a softer landing. And maybe, oh man, are you okay? I was just saying, there was a lot of fights in our neighborhood that started with, what you looking at? Are you looking at me? You looking at me? And then you realize, you think I see you. You're in a space where you're hurting and you think I see you, so you don't want me to look at you. And you don't want me to see you in such a vulnerable, you don't want me to see your pain. So you put on this shell of this tough person that's really willing to fight me and possibly kill me because I looked at you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so knowing that and understanding that changes life completely.
Was that a moment that came from therapy?
Yeah, just realizing that, oh my goodness, these young men coming from they're just in pain. You got to survive. So you go into survival mode. And when you go into survival mode, what happened? You shut down.
Right.
You shut down all emotions.
Right.
So even with women, you got shut down emotionally. So you can't connect. And then now all the things happen from there. Infidelity.
You can't connect because you can't connect because of the way you feel about yourself, you mean?
Yes. In my case, like it's deep.
Right.
Absolutely. So as we go into this, poverty and wellness part of our discussion, I want to just shed light on the violence that's going on. I'm from Baltimore, so there's a lot of violence going on in our community. It's so unfortunate because, like he said, a lot of these people are just hurt. They're misguided. They didn't receive the support that they needed. They didn't receive the resources that were available for them to be able to maybe make more positive decisions for themselves, their relationships, and their life, so that they don't become victims or culprits, really, of committing violence and murdering other individuals because of our own issues that we're dealing with. So, panel, let's do this. Poverty and wellness. Amanda.
I'm like, who's going to start? Tank was about to say something. Go for it.
I don't know how you know. You must have. I would say this. I will be fast because I do get my coattail pulled. Excuse me. I would say poverty and wellness is one of the most major things I think in our Black community, especially when it comes to Black men. Reason being is that I cannot, in a sense, I have to see this from two sides of the Richter scale, because if you took Black men and tested syphilis and different diseases on them, and the whole thing, they use them, kind of like for experiences in a way. So a lot of times they kind of nailed off the shell of like, I want to go to the doctor. They kind of took that away. If you look into the next parts of when it comes to the healthcare and wellness of it, we wasn't offered the same opportunities of insurance. We were not offered the same opportunities as our counterparts to have the access to those things. So I think in this generation of now, poverty is always going to be, I think, in a sense of a problem, but it can be of a lower percentage rate in the Black community. But it takes us to teaching each one.
Uh-oh.
I know.
He
It's getting
froze on us.
good.
He'll come back in. Bianca, what are your thoughts? Poverty and wellness. I'm sure, you got a lot to say about it.
Busy. He tries to get me. But I was saying that, one thing about it, especially when it comes to HIV and AIDS plays a major part in the Black community. It's something that I deal with. A lot of times, people in our own community, we make stigmas about stuff that we really shouldn't make stigmas about. I can make in reference to people getting HIV tested. I do free HIV testing. I do syphilis and hepatitis on the spot. But you have a lot of people of color in our community. They would be like, "Well, I don't want that. Why not? Because so and so, they're gonna think this about me. They're gonna think that about me." And that should not be the thing. And we should encourage each other to have consciousness about our wellness and understanding what our statuses are, understanding that men, we need to get prostate exams and things like that did when you get to older age, and teaching us more healthier ways, because like when it comes even poverty and wellness kind of go sticking hand in hand, because we was redlined for many years. And so these things where they put drugs in our community, they put liquor stores in every place in our community. And so with us being able to fight back, we have to go back and get what was taken from us in the sense of learning, and put that back in our community no matter what. And it can't come with, well, I'm gonna look at you different if you do it. No, you're being very aware of your wellness. You're being aware of how you feel, and you're being aware of pretty much your all surroundings overall, of whether you're a healthy human being, which helps us fight poverty. Because if you don't feel well, you can't live well.
True story.
Being confident. What I hear you pretty much saying is being confident in taking care of your wellness. That is okay. That is the right thing to feel confident, bold, and proud about, because it is important to your success.
Yes. I mean,
Bianca.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that poverty and wellness are both two sides of the coin, only because in my practice, working with incarcerated men, and even in my own personal life, I see that it's very difficult for a Black man to say, hey, I'm going to a doctor appointment or having annual visits as a just a normal part of their life, just to go. I mean, I remember begging my father still now to go and get visits done, because to them, and what I've seen, and I'm pretty sure there's studies to back this up with, because I've read many different kinds of studies about Black experience and wellness, is that that's like a form of weakness to go to the doctor and get a blood test done, or be told that you're diagnosed with something. So there's definitely, between poverty and wellness, there's definitely a correlated, kind of connection there when it comes to poverty. Because, if you're living in poverty, seeking an annual visit or going to medical appointments is kind of something far-fetched if you're trying to figure out how to survive.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, if you're trying to figure out where your next plate of food is coming from, or what am I going to wear, how am I going to feed my kids, or daddy done been to prison, and this mama got 6, 7, 8 kids. Many of the men I service come from families that have many children. Going to a doctor appointment or even a dental appointment
ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, it's a far-fetched idea. So poverty and wellness is definitely connected. Also poverty, there are studies that actually also support that people who live in poverty, especially in Black communities, tend to have less access to healthcare. You know what I mean? The healthcare access is totally different. I may have access to maybe a nutritionist or a dietitian, while someone who maybe comes from these kind of backgrounds may not. So that's another thing. What does the access actually look like for someone who's living in poverty? And how again, it goes back to what I said about help. How are men asking for help? Because is going to the doctor for annual visits and follow-ups and testing and prostate testing and all these different things that are needed in general health, are these things something that are looked upon as weaknesses? Many of the men I also serve, when I ask questions in my beginning of my assessments, when I first interact with them in booking, is when's the last time you've had an annual visit, or have you ever had any counseling or services? And the first thing they say is, well, no, this is the first time, Miss Rudge. Nobody ever asked me these kind of questions. And many of these men, my average client is between the ages of 22 and I want to say 35, and they're either in there for attempted murder or murder. That is the average Black man charge. And sometimes it gets dropped because there isn't enough, evidence, or they're just really innocent. You know what I mean? And they end up getting out. But that doesn't mean that they are continually connected to wellness. Because like I said, if you're coming from these criminogenic backgrounds where a prevalence of violence and shooting, and I'm from the Bronx, these kind of things are going on, the last thing you're gonna think about is, hey, let me go do my annual exam. And this is in very impoverished, Black communities.
Absolutely.
So,
Jerry?
So I think poverty limits access or diminishes it to wellness in general, period. I think that if you're poor, like Bianca just said, your next thought is not going to be, let me go to the doctor. It's going to be, I need to eat something. I actually just finished Viola Davis's book not too long ago, and she talks about how she had an experience with that, where she didn't have health insurance, and she was having pain and she was having issues, but she couldn't necessarily go to the doctor because she just didn't have access. Another thing that I found in my research is whoever builds these facilities put them in spaces where people have limited access. So, for example, people who suffer with crystal meth addiction but they usually go to get special treatment for it. In New York, there are 8 facilities that have it. 6 of the 8 are in Manhattan. 6 of the 8. That means that 1, if you are outside of that borough, you have to travel into that borough and find people who, 1, probably don't look like you, and two, who just don't understand your past experiences. And those are 2 connections that you need to have I feel like you need to have in order to kind of get better, to gain sobriety, to know that you're not the only person who is experiencing this. My personal story, my dad had prostate cancer a few years ago. And my parents are from Haiti. And so they don't have insurance in Haiti. Thank God my parents have been here for over 30 years, and my parents do have insurance because they caught it early enough to where they just removed the prostate and, it moved forward. Additionally, me and my brothers now have to get checked for prostate cancer a little earlier because my dad had it. And so you have to get checked a little earlier for it. So it's always about access, availability. And it just seems like wellness is not important to a lot of people outside of the Black community. And so that's just what it looks like.
And I say this, I throw this in just a little nugget. I so agree with you in this part, because when you went to in a sense of self-reflection, I can understand that, because me being Black and LGBTQ, when I first had HIV, I didn't know. What is my phone doing? It's joking me now. I didn't know. I didn't know anything about HIV. It was a very much of a struggle for me. I had never really talked about it. I was taught, I was a church boy, so I was taught, you just don't have sex, you abstain, you wait on God, and you wear a condom when it's time. Don't bring no babies home. And there was the nonsense of what I got. You know what I'm saying? But I knew if not my mother was a great woman that can raise some kids, but I knew she only could give me the knowledge that she had. You know what I'm saying? So she did the best that she could, but I wasn't informed of those things. And then when I found out I had HIV, I didn't take medication for 4 years because I listened to the statistics of what somebody else said, what somebody in the community was gonna say. Oh my God, I seen him taking the HIV pill. Oh, you nasty, the stigma that came with it. And I let those things run my mind instead of getting my care like I needed to. Thank God I had a team around me of people that loved me and encouraged me to say, hey, you need to take care of yourself. Science is not working for anything. They do not have doctors for anything. And if you have something major or a major disease that you're fighting, you have to have the necessities to fight it. So those, and that's why I piggyback on you when you said that it is self-experience, and it is like kind of like a kind of a learned thing to say, well, now I'm going to ignore it, because I did it for 4 years and I didn't have to, and I kind of like stayed in the box, feel like I was going to give HIV to everybody because I had no knowledge of, if I take a pill a day, I can't spread it. If I do this, I can live a long life. If I do this, I still can have children. You know, so that I think that knowledge of us being able to teach each other more about our wellness, more about the things that are available, more about the resources that are available for you to have without insurance, that I'm for as well. You can have those things. And so it just needs to be like each one teach one, so our community can be taught that those options are there.
Got it. Thank you. Robert, tell us about poverty and wellness.
Well, the first part of poverty is this. I believe some of it is a mindset, right? So I'm gonna speak on myself. When my father and my mother made 6 figures, but they never gave me the money. Everything was sink or swim. You learn the hard way. They made 6 figures, but they wasn't giving me no money. So the money they made was theirs. So I was poor. I was in poverty, right? They did the necessary things. Excuse me for the train. They made sure I ate. They made sure I had clothes, but they wasn't really big on let's buy those designer clothes and we're gonna get you all these designer shoes or anything of that nature. So as I began to get older, for me to help me with my poverty mindset, I started going to Whole Foods, and can I ultimately afford Whole Foods? No, but I purposely go there to kind of change my mindset and how I look at money. To be able to shop with you become who you hang around with, somewhat, so to speak. And I started purposely going to, places and spending my money in places that I normally wouldn't, instead of being frugal, I openly and purposely spend money on things that's good for my health, for my mental health and my physical health. But I also go in places so I can change my mindset, because it's about it's a mind renewal. It's a mind renewal. And sometimes we have to, though we may not have it, and we may look at ourselves, and I think men are really hard on themselves sometimes. That's why we buy the fancy clothes, but we'll live in the basement and we'll drive the big vans and live with our mamas and things of that nature, because the appearance of being rich is more important than actually being mentally and spiritually and physically in their health, right? So with me, I personally started doing things, even though I'm not sitting on 6 figures, I purposely go out and I go in places that so-called the rich be at, and I purposely do it so I can have a mindset of understanding. I don't have to think in poverty. It's not where you live, it's how you live. I had a place that was off of Greenmount Avenue, and when people came in my apartment, they was like, "Whoa, I didn't know you. Wow, this place is really nice." But I invested in creating my own atmosphere in the way I want to go and how I want to live. So I got African art that I spent money on. And I think you sacrifice certain things. You sacrifice the McDonald's, you sacrifice the unnecessary spending. I started investing in my health by investing in natural herbs and things of that nature. And there's nothing wrong with lighting a couple candles sometime and playing your jazz music. And I purposely got to be intentional about it, right? Because people tend to paint for so long in your head, this is how you supposed to act. You supposed to somewhat act ghetto and thuggish and all that stuff. But it's really, you have to renew your mind. You have to intentionally try to do that. And you have to put yourself in places and put yourself around people that have that type of mindset, so it can kind of somewhat rub off, if I'm saying it right. But I had to intentionally just do things on purpose. I did. And it doesn't mean that I didn't have some rough part to me. And that wasn't, I thought poorly of myself, and I did. I wouldn't invest in myself. I wouldn't put money into myself. And then the older I got, I started realizing I don't have to live like that. So I purposely go down Whole Foods. I may not can afford a whole lot of stuff down there. I might spend about $40, but I start off just by doing the little and believing that in my heart that the Most High would give me more, and things has gotten better and my mind has changed. My mind has been renewed in a lot of different things and thought processes. even with my health, I don't put a lot in. I put more money into taking care of my physical health than I would putting into buying clothes and tennis shoes and things of that nature. So I think with the wellness and the mental health of it all, you know, and poverty, is you can either stay that way or you can make a decision. And then if you can't have the self-awareness to know where you're falling short at, and talk to, you know, like people like you, clinical therapists and psychiatrists that will help you, guide you along the way of thinking different, because we have to renew our minds. And I think it's a mind renewal in my life. I know it don't fit for everybody, but for me, I had to change my mindset in order to get better. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much, Robert. That was amazing.
So a little bit, I think, of what I'm hearing, if I can kind of summarize what all of you have said. At one point, I'm hearing like wellness is almost a luxury, depending on where you are in life, right? I'm also hearing the importance of access and accessibility, right? Because I think those are two different things. To have access to something, to be able to get to, you know, to be aware of something, that something is there, but also having the resources to actually get there can be two totally different things. I heard somebody talk about kind of going to doctor's appointments. And I know sometimes people even having transportation to get to appointments could be a barrier. If you don't live in a New York, a Chicago, a DC, there is no transit system. And so kind of thinking about things like that, resources, information, knowledge. Robert talked about kind of environment and being intentional. So all of these things are that we can kind of look at to continue to promote wellness, but also be aware of the things that threaten wellness. So we can kind of like dance with those things together.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
So how can we show up as a community? How can we support one another? How can we change the narrative, continue to break stigmas? How can we do this, panel? How can we show up for our Black men, for our men just in general? Because all men go through mental challenges and barriers, just trying to navigate through life. I saw you about to say something, Tank.
I hate to shake a table, but that I
You freezing. You can't shake the table.
Look. All right. So we're going to give Tank a minute and let's go to. Oh, there you go. You just came back in. You want to take a minute?
We still can't hear.
Okay. We can't hear you, Tank.
Jerry, Bianca, Robert, anybody want to speak to that? What can we do? How can we begin to create spaces for men to be well?
I think the first step is really trust. That is something that I see across the board with men, you know, that I serve, is that, you know, if trust is not there, then there isn't going to be much dialogue or much openness to receive help. Once the trust is established, you know, that's typically when things can kind of, you know, I would say go in a better direction as far as counseling or any interventions are concerned, is that, you know, we have to trust. Black communities in general have a lot of trust issues, not just, you know, with just, you know, with different kind of entities. But, you know, there's police trust, there's criminal justice trust, there's correction trust. There's, you know, who can I go to, you know, if something happens, if something is broken into my house. The culture is very hush, don't tell, which means, you know, yeah, he beat me up, or, you know, something happened in a home, but we ain't talking about nothing. You know, when I used to work for MDPD as a social worker, there's been plenty of times where I show up to a home, maybe there was a domestic violence call out or something, and the first thing the woman would say was, you know, why are you here? You know, like, you ain't about to take him. Like, I'm not pressing charges, and, you know, get the F off my doorstep. So it's very much of a hush, don't tell kind of community. And I think once we understand that culture from the therapeutic standpoint and trying to set a stage in the community, that's going to be the first step to really opening up dialogue on needs and services and stuff. Because if that trust is not there, it's not going to go anywhere. There's a historical context of limited trust and all kinds of systems, you know, related to Black communities. So that is the first thing I think is, you know, what we need to do to show up in the community is to establish trust.
Establishing trust. Okay. Jerry?
I was going to suggest having more things like this, having a Facebook Live, an Instagram Live, and inviting more Black people. I think when we're in the community and we're working with our people, I think talking and speaking directly to our community members or our extended family is like what I like to call it, is super important. I can't tell you how many times I've met a Black client and they're like, oh my God, I've been looking for a Black therapist for so long. I'm so happy that I found you. And they're excited. They want to share. They want to unpack, but they want to make sure, piggybacking off Bianca, that I'm in a safe space and I can say these things and they're not going to be used against me later on, or I won't feel shamed about it. Showing up. I also suggest that if you are a therapist, and this is in general, I tell everyone, if you're a Black therapist or a therapist of color, make sure that your website, your cards, everything has a picture of you, because it's important for people to see what you look like in order to know that they feel safe, or they feel like, okay, well, maybe I can, talk to this person.
All right. Thank you, Robert. And then I got you, Tank.
Yeah, it's very much true. I saw a therapist for 7 years. I intentionally sought out after a Black therapist. I did not want anyone that didn't understand my gripes, my pains, our upbringings, because all those, we have so many common. And I felt like it would be good for me. So the whole 7 years, man, I wound up with a female. She wasn't biased to my, some therapists can be kind of biased, side with the women, side with the men type thing. There are good ones and there are bad ones, but you have to seek them out, because there are some very good ones out there that generally really want to help. And don't be ashamed. Men, do not be ashamed. We all have things we have to work out. We're not perfect. And self-awareness is very important. Look in the mirror. Gentlemen, always put the time to look in the mirror, fellas. Look at yourself and be honest. There's nothing wrong with hurting as long as you heal.
And remember, everything that you've gone through, men, is just a part of your story. It's a part of what you needed to learn, some different things, so that you could move in a direction more aligned with what you want to do in life and your purpose. Don't give up on yourselves by feeling like you don't have that support, because the resources are out here now and the support networks are out here now. And we really need you guys. We need as many of you, all of you, really. But as you can see, violence is continuously taking more and more of our men away. So what about the children? What about the young men that need those men's network, that need those men's mentors? Like, we need us women, we need you. And I know women, we are very hard on our men, and we just have to sometimes be a little more understanding and sometimes unselfish, so that we can listen to them in a moment, instead of feeling like we got to get our point across too. Well, you need to understand me too. But if both of us are trying to get each other to understand one another, and neither one of us are really listening to understand one another, somebody has to back down and understand that my partner is hurting more, my friend is hurting more, my loved one is hurting more, my brother is hurting more. I have to tell my children that sometimes, my oldest with her brothers, because she's a little hard on them. So I had to let her know, like, sometimes just take a moment to understand them. Just understand them for a second. I understand how you feel. I'm not saying your feelings are invalid, but let's understand them for a minute. The Black man has so much against them right now on their shoulders. They are just alone. No one understands them. They're always viewed as this monster, and they're not. I have Black sons, and my sons are going to be amazing men contributing to this world. And I want every man to have that confidence and feel that way about themselves.
They're already amazing. I wanted to ask a question. You all speak about the importance of kind of like, for this idea of having a Black therapist, or the response that people give you when they find out you're Black. And as a therapist as well, I get the same response. But here's my question. The last statistics, now you scholars can help me out, was that less than 3% of therapists are African American. It's not enough of us for everybody to meet that need. And so what could people do if you can't get a Black therapist? How can you explore if the therapist that you have is safe enough for you? How can you explore finding a good therapist, even if he or she is not Black or a person of color?
I would say this. I'm sorry, my phone had cut out, but I apologize to y'all. I want to say something about how we can show up because I really liked it right there. It was a good thing. For one way how we do show up, we do a show up hard because we have black strong women black strong women on the platform and black strong women in this world that can stand up and say this is the issue, and the other some they can't. But thank y'all for bringing it and breaking the ice on that. So that's one way we always can show up as a community. I think also one way we can show up is that and for black men is that we don't have biases against each other and we kick each other down in the same process. That is a huge part because we face off at each other for the most ignorance of things and the most plethora. I mean, you think about it. I look back just being just like for me and Jerry, us being a part of the LGBTQ family. Yeah, I say the alphabet family. For us being a part of that family, we have. It's a I don't know, I hate to say it, but like I said, I break the ice. It really is. It's a major conflict in between straight men and gay men. In all of a sense, we should all be at this point in 2022. After all the things we've experienced in the last, all of us get scared when we get pulled by the police. We still have the same fears. We still have the same issues. In that case, we really should be able to not care about any of that, but do that, like I said earlier, like each one teach one, encourage each other. Like back to the same thing with poverty, teaching us how to do credit. You get some black people in our community, they'll go and get, this and that, and they don't want to teach nobody else how to do it because they don't want anybody to get to where they was at. And that's not the way to do it. It's not the way to do it. I told my mom the other day, as black people, we need to stop building churches and start building community centers because I don't see where the word is really helping them in what church they build. They just taking tithes and not doing nothing with it. And our people don't know how to don't even know how to fill out a credit report. They don't even know where to go, the nearest voting booth is. So it's a lot of things that come into play, but that's back to how we show up like this, having those awkward conversations, letting them know, no matter what type of man you are, about the wellness and about your about poverty, fighting those statistics, those things to let us know as all men that we are one in color, period. And I would hate for that division to, I would love for that vision to kind of cease, but a lot of times we're our own greatest enemies in our own community. If that's kind of how it is, we're out, and it just shouldn't not be like that. Now I'm hated, but I feel like the way that we're showing up right now is actually fighting those things, like I said, and talking about it and putting those things on the table in front of our people.
Absolutely. So panel, I want every single person to lend one national resource or local resource. Please say the state that you're in as well, just so that the community knows, and share that resource, please. Bianca, you can go first.
One resource that I like to turn to a lot is called the Inside Out Dad program that's ran by National Fatherhood Initiative. And it's a pretty huge organization with lots of resources for fathers of minority communities, fathers in general, fathers who are incarcerated, fathers in the community, fathers in the Latin community. So I think it's a really good resource because it really, really tailors specifically to, dads that are inside, which, are, my area of research. But I definitely think it's a good reference to sort of turn to when there's needs for services and stuff like that.
And once more, what was that reference again?
It's called the Inside Out Dad program, and it's facilitated by the National Fatherhood Initiative.
Nice. The Inside Out program, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
Jerry, favorite resource?
This was so hard. I chose the National Black Justice Coalition because they specifically help and advocate for Black people and specifically Black gay and lesbian individuals and trans community. But I also wanted to highlight Whitman Walker, which is a clinic here in DC. It is an all-inclusive clinic however, the main population that they work with are the LGBT population, and they have a sex drug fusion, which is connecting sex with drugs, groups that actually help people of color. So I think that
you said Women Walker. I'm so sorry. Women Walker.
Whitman Walker. WHIT. Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
It's okay. Thank you.
Robert, you got a favorite resource?
not a favorite, but I interact because I was a licensed minister at one time. Church of the Redeemer of the Lord here in Baltimore, Maryland, off of Old York Road, has a minister named Brother Rodell Hall. He interacts with men a lot and young men, and he has these forums and get-togethers, and they actually go out in the community and interact with them. So it's out of CRL, Church of Redeemer of the Lord, Brother Rodell Hall.
Thank you, Robert. And all of these resources, community, will be inside on our Facebook, as well as our community group for our resources. So we have our own group on our page, CITCA live chat group, so that you can receive the live chat discussions. You can also get all of the resources that we mentioned, and they are available. It's a public group.
Tank, favorite resource, and then we're going to wrap up.
Well, you don't have to give you out my favorite resource. I'd encourage you all, whether you are from each corners of the United States of America, please, no matter where it's at, please find your local clinic, and also make sure that you have your updated HIV test, that you are aware of your status. And if you come back positive, know that looking at me for 15 years, that it is a way that you can make it. Know that part. I'm located, I'm originally from Memphis, but of course, if you're in Memphis, Tennessee, you can also go and visit Christ Community. They have clinics that you can get HIV testing. If you do come back positive, they do have programs that can assist you, like Ryan White. Located here, I live in Houston, Texas. And one of my favorite resources is one of my favorite companies. This shirt, do you got a minute? It's avenue360.org. You can visit that website. Avenue 360 has 7 locations throughout Houston, and our clinics provide primary care, family planning, prenatal care, pediatric, wellness, children, immunization, screening, labs work, mental health, counseling, emergency covering, housing, all those things under that umbrella. So you do not have to feel like if you come back positive for HIV, it is a resource that they're like Ryan White and those things we work with in order to get you those services that you need, to get you the medicines that you need, and to make sure that you're all around covered. You know, that's what Avenue 360 does. They do no 180s, but all 360s. So that is a good thing that even if it's not an Avenue 360 and you're not near Houston, just be aware that, you can go to any local clinic and make sure you have your status, get your status update so you can know your positive, your levels, or to know whether you're positive or negative or not. And those things are really good for you to catch early. Therefore, you can definitely fight the disease so we can stop the spread of HIV. One more thing, also to help stop the spread of HIV. I'm not sure if a lot of people are aware of PrEP. PrEP is a great, awesome medication. It is a preventative measure. It is it's PrEP, prefrontal anaphylaxis or something like that. It has a really big word, but you can look it up, PrEP. And PrEP is an awesome drug that is out now. You can take once a day, and it prevents you from getting HIV. I caught HIV in 2008, and I always say that I wish that this medication was out there before and back then. But now they have these new resources available. If you're going to be having sex, I encourage you to take much protection as you can. Not also a condom. Take something that's going to be in your blood, in your cells, to help fight off HIV itself, and we can all stop the fight against HIV together.
Thank you so much. And another resource I want to mention is I Am Mentality Youth Mentoring Group for young men in Maryland. They are a great resource for, mothers who child may have lost their fathers, especially your sons. Like, it's a men's network where they get mentoring and all types of life skills that help them, be successful in life. And another great resource for men that I want to share is Every Man. It's a men's support network, men's association. They are national, so no matter where you are, they are available. They have groups every month that just for men to come and talk and have a safe space to, we're trying to create those spaces and share those resources. So you don't have to be alone. Let's join together. And another great benefit is that it's national. So you get to meet and network with men all over the country. And I believe that they're eventually going to be expanding global. So it's like you get that broad network, new knowledge, new information, new things to see and consider. Is just another great resource for you. So, Amanda, did you have anything you want to wrap up before we go ahead and close this?
Nope. I want to thank you all so much for your time, for your support, for everything that you've shared, and helping to support us and continuing to serve the community.
Absolutely. Again, we want to thank everybody who joined us tonight. It is about you that we bring these lives. These are for our community, and we want you guys to always receive value from every single one of our discussions. So believe that we're going to bring that value, bring those resources, and encourage you all the time to understand that you don't have to be alone. Encourage others to join our Facebook page and watch our lives and share these videos, because you never know who needs it. That's what we were talking about. Let's stop trying to keep things to ourselves or not pass things on that, may feel cliche or embarrassing or not that important to us, but it's important to somebody who may need it. And many people are committing suicide. I've lost someone that I'm familiar, acquainted with, and I'm pretty sure so many others have lost someone that they love. So let's kind of spread that and be that support and show up for each other in the community. Again, thank you for joining us, and we will see you guys next month for another live wellness discussion.